The folder is quiet. Between reviews, a ticket grants a supplier write access that the last assessment never named. A second ticket opens an application interface into a neighboring service. A third ticket lets the same firm create its own service account, so a nightly job does not use a person's login. No outage fired. No questionnaire failed. The access already grew, and the score still described last year's grant. The folder still looked current while those 3 tickets already sat on the file. 3 signals show up before the incident. That sentence names 1 failure. We waited for a breach, and the informal tickets had already widened the grant. Escalation is the act we take when a signal says trust has already changed. It is not a war room after money has moved. It is not a late incident ticket that starts when a customer calls. Escalation is a scoped intervention that starts when the grant, the job, or the clock no longer matches the last review. A program that only escalates after the debit is not watching the supplier. That program is reconstructing the path after the path was already used. Third-party risk management has to watch those signals while the folder still looks current. TPRM that waits for an outage, a failed questionnaire, or a customer complaint will inherit every informal grant that landed between assessment dates. The review date is not a watch. The signals are the watch. Access grew through informal tickets between reviews. That growth is the first escalation signal. We have to treat those tickets as a change in delegated authority, not as help desk noise. A ticket that widens a grant is not a courtesy. A ticket that widens a grant is the event that restarts the file. Informal tickets between reviews are how delegated authority grows without a new assessment. Availability metrics tell us the supplier stayed up. Service level reports tell us the ticket closed on time. Neither object tells us that a read-only grant became a write grant, that a nightly job now runs with a shared service account, or that a public advisory just shortened the time we have to recheck the same firm. Uptime is useful for operations. Uptime is not a picture of trust. Green availability does not tell us the grant already changed. Trust expansion is the first signal. The supplier was onboarded with a narrow grant. After that day, the grant grew through operational requests that never reopened the assessment. Each request looked reasonable on its own Tuesday. The set of what the supplier can already do is already larger than the set we scored. Trust expanded faster than the controls we left in place for the original grant. The path usually arrives in 3 tickets. The first ticket turns a reporting login from read-only into a write on a production table because a report needed a refresh. The second ticket opens an application interface so the same firm can pull adjacent records. The third ticket lets that firm provision its own service account because a nightly job should not use a person's login. The written contract still names the original grant. The 3 tickets together already exceed the control set we designed for that grant. The intervention for trust expansion is a tighter grant, not a longer questionnaire. We put the supplier back on the entitlement the work actually needs. We require just-in-time elevation for the exceptional task. We write formal change approval into the written contract for any future widening of scope. Notice of a wider grant restarts the assessment. A help desk close does not restart the assessment. A tighter grant is the act, and a longer form is not. Automation is the second signal. A managed service firm deploys a new overnight job across many endpoints. The job uses one shared service account. The job runs with elevated privilege. We have no behavioral baseline for that identity. We have no session recording of the privileged steps. We have no alert when the job starts at a new hour or reaches a new host. The automation already outpaces the oversight we still describe in the folder. A shared service account is efficient. A shared service account is also one identity acting at machine speed across a fleet we already trust. If we cannot say what a normal night looks like for that identity, we cannot say when the night changed. Oversight that only reviews human logins will miss a job that never uses a human login. The folder still describes the people we met at onboarding. The job is already the actor. We have to measure the night the job already runs, not the people we met at onboarding. The intervention for automation that outpaces oversight is a deeper watch, not a new policy sentence. We build a behavioral baseline for that service identity. We record the privileged session. We alert when the job's timing, host set, or volume leaves the envelope we already measured. A sentence that says jobs are reviewed is not a baseline. A baseline is a measured night. The window is the third signal. A public advisory names a flaw in a platform the supplier is known to run. A peer firm that shares the same one-to-many provider discloses a breach that started in that provider's environment. The time between that public signal and a usable path against us may already be measured in days, or already be measured in hours. The attacker's window of opportunity is shrinking. Our review calendar is not shrinking with it. We do not need a complete forensic file to treat the clock as changed. A named platform in an advisory, plus a supplier we already know runs that platform, is enough to reopen the watch. A peer disclosure on a shared provider is enough to reopen the watch. Waiting for our own incident to confirm the same path is how the window closes on our file. The public signal is already a change in the clock we are supposed to watch. The intervention for a shrinking window is a revalidation under time pressure. We ask the supplier for current evidence of patch status, credential rotation, and exposure scope. We tighten monitoring thresholds on that firm's identities until the evidence arrives. We do not wait for next year's assessment date. The public signal is the event that restarts the file. The three signals stack. Trust expansion draws on first. Informal tickets widen the grant between reviews. Automation draws on second. A shared job runs faster than the watch we still describe. The window draws on third. A public signal shortens the time we have left. Each bar is a reason to act before the incident. The folder does not draw those bars. We have to draw them. One ticket is weak on its own. One new job is weak on its own. One advisory is weak on its own. Together they name a larger reach, a faster actor, and a shorter clock. Escalation that waits for a single loud alarm will miss the stack. The stack is the alarm we already have. We escalate on the stack we already hold, not on a louder later alarm. A new supplier has no history we can measure against. That gap is the cold start problem. During onboarding, we compare the new firm to a peer group with a similar grant and a similar job shape, and we keep the watch tight until a baseline exists. The first weeks are not a grace period. The first weeks are the weeks with the least history and the most informal tickets. A peer group is a temporary baseline until this firm's own night can be measured. The first escalation signal is the informal ticket that widened the grant between reviews. That is the earliest bar on the stack. If we miss that bar, we meet the job later, and we meet the window last. A program that only reads the third signal is already late. A program that treats the first ticket as noise will meet the window with a stale folder. The first informal ticket is the earliest moment the file has to move. We do not wait for a compromise to confirm that trust already moved. We tighten the grant when tickets widen it. We deepen the watch when a job outruns the baseline. We revalidate when the public clock shortens. Those three acts are escalation. Those three acts are meant to land before the incident. Those three acts belong on the file before a compromise confirms the same path. The first informal ticket would have named the widened grant while the folder still looked current. The window would have been a clock we already treated as shortened because a public signal had already landed. Escalation starts at that first ticket, not at the debit. The stack is what those two objects catch. The quiet folder did not. Thank you.